Welcome, wrestling fans. The snow is on the ground. It's cold outside, and that can only mean one thing. Wrestling season has begun, and this is our third season of the show we call The Takedown. And what could be better than a three-point takedown? To start the season off, we were down at Clear Fork High School at the North Central Ohio Wrestling Officials Association All-Star Preview. And man, was it a good one. As always, the folks at Clear Fork do a great job with the atmosphere in the gymnasium. It was rocking like it was in the middle of the season. Some guys that stuck out for me right away. The Galleon's Grady Harding and Ryder Alberty look like they're in mid-season form and are ready for a late season push already. Madison's Jackson Stancomb is the number 2 ranked heavyweight in Division I. He put on a clinic and he was my MVP of the night. And Madison is really building a nice roster around him. They continue to improve and get better, and I'm so impressed with the Rams and the improvement they've made over the years. Clear Fork, obviously, solid guys up and down their lineup. Always do, they're always deep. Clear Fork always puts guys on the mat who can compete, and that's highlighted by Clear Fork's Anthony Oscar, who put an absolute snap-down clinic on. What a great way to start the year at Clear Fork High School for the NCOWOA All-Star Preview. Speaking of Clear Fork High School, I have their head coach, Nick Allerding, here to join us on a first interview of Season 3 of The Takedown. Coach Allerding, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, kicking this interview off, I want to talk a little bit about your team. Specifically, let's touch on Anthony Oscar, following up a incredible freshman campaign, heading into his sophomore year. What are some things you felt like he's addressed in the off season? Because I'm sure he has his eyes on the very top prize in Division II at his weight class.
Yeah, Anthony had a really good off season. Just kind of focusing on development. From that freshman to sophomore year, he's still kind of a baby as far as his age goes. So just focusing on strength development, continuing his technique development, and just kind of that mental development, developing that toughness and mentality. That approach has been kind of a big focus for him.
One thing I've noticed about guys like Oscar, and you have guys like that in a lot of rooms, is there's a ripple effect that happens in the wrestling room. When you have one guy that's a really high achiever, especially at such a young age, it can really force the other guys around him to improve. A lot of times just because he's beating on them every day. It makes him better every day. So what are the ripple effects that you've seen from having a guy like that in your room?
One thing that's great with Anthony is that he is so committed. So having, an athlete the caliber of Anthony, that he is committed, he listens, he does everything you ask of him, right? That, as a coach, that makes everything smooth, and it's kind of how it operates within the program. And then as far as just in the room, partners are, immeasurable on kind of what that value does, right? Having the partners to push. So obviously he's the guy that everybody else in the room's trying to compete with, trying to catch up with, trying to score on, and he's got to try to kind of establish his status and maintain his level of being that top guy in the room with all those guys that are really good too, pushing him every day. So it works good both ways when you have those partners available within the room.
One thing I've noticed about your team throughout the years, I've been covering the wrestling in the area my third year now, is you guys always seem to fill out your weight classes with guys who can compete day in and day out. And then you have those guys who are ready to take that next step to win state championships and place a state. Who should we be on the lookout for this year from the Clear Fork Colts to be able to take that next step, to go from a guy that can win matches every week to a guy that can place at district, go to state and make some noise?
I think we got a few of those guys to pick from. That sophomore class, a couple of them ready to kind of break on the scene. You got guys like Luke Lee and Connor Bailey. Like I said, we had move in from Mount Vernon, Caleb Snyder. He's already kind of established, but he's gonna have a great year. His growth has only been good here in the off season. And then the other big one, I think, that kind of fits your kind of guy that was competing, ready to kind of take that jump into the next level, I think, is Alex Slosher at eventually he's going to try to get out of 190, but he's wrestling really well, ready to kind of take that jump and, from, like I said, a guy that competes hard, wrestles hard, to, that next level, making that state tournament, and try to podium down there at the state tournament.
Speaking of your schedule, you guys always do the best assembly duel I've ever seen. Do you guys have another one coming up this year?
We do. So we're hosting Madison down the road again this year. So we'll be at Ontario, and then we'll host Madison February 13th to kind of wrap up that final regular season event. So yeah, ADB, AD Jess Brokaw, that's her wheelhouse. She does an awesome job, as well as the rest of our administration, in getting all that stuff set up and making that environment top notch. It's just, like I said, kids look forward to it every year, and it's just fun every year.
Well, it's not only the environment, but the way the student body responds. I've been to other assembly duels where they've had an environment that's comparable to what you folks put on as far as infrastructure, but the student body comes in and they're on their feet going crazy the whole time, which is the best part, and that's got to make you feel so proud to be a part of that kind of community. Oh,
for sure. Yeah, same thing with, Jess does a great job. We get those guys at the football games, at the basketball games. That student body follows and it brings that support. And it's awesome. It's kind of came into the world of wrestling where that student body has come, and they're excited. I got teachers and students asking me all year, hey, what's the date? When's the assembly duel this year? They're excited for it. So just having that support within the school, and then it kind of permeate out to the community is just awesome and just so much fun.
Switching gears on you a little bit now, I always love looking forward to the MOAC conference tournament. I think it's one of the best in the area. You see guys who are standing on the podium at state, and they're not in the top spot in your conference. It gives you an idea how tough that conference is. I think you guys can compete for a championship this year. What are your thoughts on your ability to compete for a championship? And then what other teams should we be on the lookout for? What other teams you have your eye on that can also vie for that top spot in the MOAC?
For sure. Like I said, we look forward to it every year. The conference having the depth that it is, it just makes it, that competition so much more fun and looking forward to it. Because, the other two kind of that have been consistent is Galleon and Ontario. Those guys year in, year out, they've put together a good squad. They're competitive. To me, it's been back and forth with those two teams and us. And I have a ton of respect for both those programs and the coaches within those programs. It's just fun. So I think, this year, we're going to put together our lineup. My focus is usually just kind of internal, right? We're going to kind of try to do our thing and put together the best lineup we can and let the results be, to me. And I think we're going to put together a pretty good lineup that's going to be, tough for anybody to beat. So, Gown and Ontario kind of do the same thing. So Highland's always in the mix, right? And all those teams bring in individuals and teams. So it's a fun event. I look forward to it every year. The kids look forward to it, and hopefully we can be healthy and at that time of year and put our lineup together and see if we can bring home another title.
Now, speaking of lineup, I'll get you out here on this last question because it's always interesting to me. When I was in high school, we both went to Loudonville. We were there. Pretty much the lineup was going to be whatever the best wrestlers wanted to go, right? And everyone's going to kind of fall in around that. You have the luxury that you built to have a full lineup and have quality guys competing for spots every year. So touch on that a little bit. At what point in the year do you feel like your lineup is solidified? Is there a certain point that you try and pencil on a calendar saying, I want my lineup done by now, or do you just let that thing go and let the wrestlers sort it out themselves?
Yeah, ideally it'd be nice to kind of know, but the reality is it kind of is year to year. Some years injuries happen late, and it's like I've had changes the week of sectionals, right? Somebody gets hurt, something happens. So it's like, it's hard to pencil it in too early because that's just, the reality of the wrestling world in the season is you can have changes. Last year we were doing wrestle-offs all the way up into the postseason, right before MOAC and sectionals. We had a few weight classes where there were some really good guys competing, and they were kind of back and forth on positions. I think this year, for the most part, we got kind of our some of our experienced guys that in the lineup. I think they're a little more spread out. I don't think we'll have as many of those, some of our top guys that are going to be having to compete for spots. I think we're spread out good there, which is nice. And then in some of the lower weights, we're going to have some freshmen that'll be kind of competing to get a few of those other kind of open spots, and some of those lower weights too. So.
Well, Coach Allerding, thanks for joining us today. I love the insight, and I know everyone watching at home will really appreciate hearing your insight and your views for this year. So really appreciate you joining us. Have a great rest of the day.
Hey, thanks, Zach. Appreciate everything you guys do.
Looking for the best high school sports coverage in Ohio? You found it right here on the OH Report. From the field to the court, we've got it all. OH Report brings you local coverage like nobody else in the area, live and free. Follow OH Report now and never miss a moment of the action. Don't just watch, be a part of the game with OH Report, the future of local sports.
Welcome back to the Takedown, and we are lucky enough to have Ashland's head coach, Tom Bauer, join us for an interview. Coach Bauer, thanks so much for joining us today. I know you're busy, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us and let the fans know what's going on at Ashland High School. Let's get right into it. Mason Bauer, your son, and Guardian Miller have been the bell cows for you the last couple years, but some other names that really came on last year, I think of Talon Boyd, Max Orr, Drayston Buddha Martin, looks special. What are some guys in your lineup this year that we should keep our eye out for?
Yeah, certainly. Those are no secrets, so we're excited for them. They're having a good preseason and ready to roll in the opening weekend. But we've got a few sophomores that are rising that we're looking to, see jump some levels this year with Tristan Gibson at 175 jumping some weight classes, Tuff Hutchinson, Bodie Smith, Tyson Mateo, just to name a few. So Wickham. We got a couple guys that are not quite at their weights yet, so it's kind of a process to get them all into the lineup at the same time.
So, and I'd like to expound a little bit about the lineups and the weight classes, something I've been picking coaches' brains about this preseason. Is there a time on your calendar that you've got circled where you say, I want my lineup solidified by this date? Or is that something that you just kind of have to let play out through the season? Because wrestling is so unique in the point that guys can change weights as the season goes. You don't normally see a football team guys start at quarterback, then go to running back, and everything's just fine. There's usually a lot of shakeup. But in wrestling, guys are always moving weights. Is there a certain time when you go, I want my lineup solidified, or is it something you just play by ear?
No, I think we'd like to have it solidified as soon as possible. I mean, as we get guys acclimated to the weight class that they're going to compete at the end of the year, we want them to have as much time acclimated to that weight class, resizing their bodies, getting their nutrition right, be ready to compete for multiple day tournaments and multiple weigh-ins. So ideally, I would say probably in our schedule by Christmas or shortly after some of those holiday tournaments.
That's interesting.
For sure.
Now,
we do have Buddha back. We do have Buddha back, obviously, who will be at 215, but he's a heavyweight based on the football calendar and his weight progression. So probably mid-January, you'll see him back down to 215.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you for that. And speaking of your schedule, Sarver Paving invite is this weekend. We talked a little bit off camera about the teams you have coming in. Give me your thoughts on the Sarver Paving invite and why should people come out and check that out this weekend at Ashland High School.
Oh, it's a big draw to the local alumni that'll be back in town, and it's a nice way to kick off the season. We've got some highlighted matchups with a team coming up from Marengo Highland, has some studs there. Mayfield has some good kids, Cuyahoga Falls. Willard has some decent kids, as well as Bellevue. So there'll be some interesting matchups early on, especially in the finals.
Nice. That tournament always produces quality wrestling. So if you're in Ashland, around the Ashland area, and want to pick up some pick up some good matches, go ahead and head on over there. You'll see some good wrestling. Also want to talk to you a little bit about the OCC coming up. You guys have won the OCC a couple years in a row now, I think. And I remember your first year, I said, what are your goals? You said OCC champ. I said, really? You think you can pull it off this year? You said, absolutely. You did it. You defended the title last year. Now you guys get to host the OCC this year. Give me your thoughts on the OCC conference, the wrestling top to bottom, and talk about, are there any schools coming up that we should keep an eye out for?
Yeah, I mean, that's one for the school. You can hang a banner, and in the gymnasium. It's always a win for the athletic department. So that is a goal of ours, to win the OCCs, and we know it's not going to be without a challenge of like a West Holmes, and even Madison has a really good team this year. So we're not counting anybody out, but we're going in with the mindset to win.
Mindset to win. I love it. And the last thing I want to touch on before I get you out of here, I know you're busy, but I cannot help by asking you, you guys are ranked number 8 in the state in Division I. What's it like? What's the messaging like to a team when they're that highly ranked in Division I in a state with such great high school wrestling? Do you change your messaging a little bit? You don't want to ever go from hunters to being hunted. You don't want to feel like there's a target on your back, but you have to realize there's expectations now.
Well, I think the expectations is just growth and development. I mean, the ranking is just a mere opinion of pollsters, and obviously there's ego rankings as well, ELO rankings with the new Dubstat stuff. But we're in good company. You mentioned it. What it is confidence for us that we're in the best wrestling state, in one of the best wrestling states in the country. I mean, there's 5 schools ahead of us that are ranked in the top 30 in the country. So we are in good company there. We're excited about the recognition, and give some guys a bigger platform to compete on, especially those that want to compete in college. It's a great opportunity to be on the stage now.
Hey, thanks so much for your time, Coach Bauer. I know you got practice. I'll let you get out of here. Like I said, really appreciate your time. Best of luck to you and the Arrows for the rest of the season.
Thanks, Zack. Thanks for all you do.
Thanks, Coach Bauer, for taking this time out to speak with us today. Hey, when we come back after we pay the bills, it's time for everyone's favorite part of the show. Rather throw you than know you, counting lights and takedown of the week. Don't go anywhere now, folks. We're just getting started.
Looking for the best high school sports coverage in Ohio? You found it right here on the OH Report. From the field to the court, we've got it all. OH Report brings you local coverage like nobody else in the area, live and free. Follow OH Report now and never miss a moment of the action. Don't just watch, be a part of the game with OH Report, the future of local sports.
Welcome back to the Takedown. Thank you to all our generous sponsors who make this possible. And now it's time for everyone's favorite part of the show, our highlights of Counting Lights, Takedown of the Week, and Rather Throw You Than Know You. Now, with it being so early in the season, yours truly was the only one able to submit a nomination for these categories. But as wrestling continues on through the year, please send us your highlights. Tell us which one you want to be on. Either Takedown of the Week, Counting Lights, or Rather Throw You Than Know You, and they should all look like the following. First, we'll start off with my Counting Lights nominations. Sloan McGee, 144 pounds, clear fork. Man, he hits a beautiful tilt and gets that bottom foot elevated, collects his points, and he's got his man counting lights. What I loved about that move, Sloan went one direction twice, came back the other way, actually ended up getting points. And the next nomination for counting lights, Alex Thompson, 215 pounds, Madison. I told you that Madison is building a program there, and Alex Thompson could be a name to watch out for. He was losing most of this match, but pressure creates diamonds. And this diamond was a win for Thompson as he goes feet to back at the last few seconds to collect his win. Now, on for some spectacular throws in my nominations for Rather Throw You Than Know You, and it is 3 lat drops, and all of them were hit from different angles, different positions, and all of them worked perfectly. First up, in the very first match of the night, Dominic Mimperi, 190-pounder from Lexington. This is how we started the night off, folks. Mimperi hits a lat drop and gets up, I think it was either 5 or 7-0 right away over his opponent from Clear Fork. Lat drop right out of the gate to collect his points. Dominic Mimperi would rather throw you than know you. The next up, oh, look out, folks. The heavyweight from Madison, Jackson Stamcombe, setting his own version of lat drop up. There it is, over under, gets his feet right, and take him for a ride, Jackson. Jackson Stamcombe would definitely rather throw you than know you as that throw gave him a technical fall. And our last one, in a throw so fast, if you blink, you miss it, freshman phenom Camden Redmond, 132-pounder from Bucyrus, hits a beautiful lat drop, catches his man on his knees and pressure it in, and takes him for a ride. 3 lat drops from 3 different angles and positions, all working out the same way. And this is what we want to see. When you send in that Rather Throw You Than Know You nomination, that's what we want to see. Headlocks, lat drops, something feet to back. And now for our third segment, so good we named a whole show after it, the Takedown of the Week. Here are my nominations for Takedowns of the Week from the North Central Ohio Wrestling Official Association All-Star Meet. First up, Jose Figueroa, 106-pounder from Willard, and hits a gorgeous power double. I love the way Jose gets his guy off the mat and finishes this thing. Jose's a little short of a 106-pounder, so it's so important to get those taller guys off the mat, get their feet off the mat and finish. And you can see he gets in a scramble situation right here and stays on top, collects his points. Beautiful takedown, power double from Jose. The next up, Aiden Proctor from Madison. And another guy on here from Madison, I'm telling you, they got a team coming up, and great double leg from Aiden Proctor there. Watch how he takes his shot and he gets his arms wrapped all the way around the guy's waist. Pulls it in and then just lifts and finishes to a clean 3-point takedown. Great takedown there by Aiden Proctor to get his 3 points. And last but not least, your host Colts put a guy on the mat, Colton Wanger, 126-pounder. Another double leg, 3 nominations for Takedown of the Week and 3 double legs. So when you're submitting your nominations for Takedown of the Week, that's the stuff we're looking for. High-flying takedowns, slick moves, something that really stands out that people can watch and learn from. Once again, thanks to Coach Allerding of Clear Fork High School and Coach Tommy Bauer of Ashland High School for joining us for great interviews. Both busy guys. Really appreciate them taking time out of their day to join us. Also, want to thank our sponsor, Amcrete Concrete Construction Services. Without their support, we couldn't bring this to you live and free. Some upcoming events, like I mentioned, if you're in Ashland, stop by the Sarver Paving Invitational this weekend. Some great high school wrestling. And we'll be back in early January with our Gorman Recap Show. That show will have great highlights, insights, and interviews from all the action going down at this year's J.C. Gorman Invitational. And that wraps up our show for this week. I'm Zack Truax. Until next time, keep your laces off the mat and a wrinkle in the back of your neck.